Hi there. Just having a conversation with our Heavenly Father here. I'll let you in on it. I took some time off of this channel because I had to put my focus on, and hit the books. I guess I assumed that because I did so well in English class that I would, do well in literature. I was wrong. I began to struggle. It's like trying to learn a new language, like Greek. I was just asking him, it's like, how can I be an author or a teacher if I can't analyze poetry or philosophy of history? I will stop trying to be perfect, and settle for a C. Please, Heavenly Father, I am trying not to panic. This has gotten so hard. I'm beginning to forget why I was doing this in the first place. But he was just telling me, take a breath and listen. And, we know now that's code for take notes. So he started with, you are learning new, not to know, but to appreciate. And I went, oh, that makes so much sense, actually. Because I'm thinking I have to know all this stuff. But he says, look out for a surprise gift, a refund or a prize that you weren't expecting to win. And I went, oh, that's this week. I was so grateful to him because it paid off to put that time aside, because when I turned in the assignment, she said, in 20 years, I've never had a student not only argue the conclusion, but then rewrite it. And I said, really? I didn't understand her ending. And I said, so people just normally come up with a reason why it's that way? She said, yeah, that's the way it is. And I said, well, I guess I should tell you I'm publishing a book. I'm a writer. And she goes, I believe it. I even want to acquire one of your books. So I was like, wow, thank you. The point is that it pays off to focus on your studies when you need to. It was finals, and I wanted to do real well, and so I did, and so I'm very grateful for that. So he says, you may think it's a stroke of luck, but it's much more than you think. The Father says today, let there be a constant abiding in my presence this day, no matter the interference or disruption. Purpose in your heart, not to be dissuaded from your focus upon me. He says, I delight in your attentiveness as a bridegroom delights in his chosen bride. You are my chosen and my beloved. The tongue cannot tell, nor do human thoughts convey the passion and intensity of my love for you. He says, yet this love is the love that I have given you to know, even in your mortality. For there I give myself that you might come from death to new life. He says, so go ahead, says the Father, and plumb to the depths of that love and know its height and breadth in your life. When your enemies have fully and exhaustively laid out all your weaknesses and shortcomings as a reason for me to turn away, I will yet be loving you. He's coming closer. And accepting you and washing you with my words of love. My beloved, he says, as you sit in front of your computer screen, letting your eyes follow each word, discover how the use of powerful language patterns, and as you think about how that might happen and listen to the ideas inside your own thoughts, you may find that you get excited at how much the right combination of words help you to reach your goals. It's so true. You're such a wise man. In fact, as you feel the excitement beginning to build, you will want to learn more about how you can use powerful language in your life among all the tools available to you. He says, language is easily the most flexible and powerful. As you consider how difficult it would be to communicate without it, you naturally realize the importance of language. And just like any tool, language becomes more powerful as you learn the right way to use it. He says, because language is so deeply ingrained in your thought process, the right combination of words can actually change your thinking. As you become aware of the power of language patterns, such as cause and effect, you expand your effectiveness beyond anything you ever thought possible. He says, when you think about it, all beliefs are expressed in terms of cause and effect. Think for a moment about something you believe in. He says, write it down. Let's look at an example. Suppose your beliefs is something like this. He says in quotes, I believe in free enterprise. He says, that's really only half of it. To get the other half, insert the word because. He says in quotes, and finish the statement. Then he says, I believe in free enterprise because it allows people the ability to decide their own destiny. He says, now the amazing thing is that because you state something using a cause and effect pattern, people naturally and easily accept it, even if it makes no logical sense. Why is this? And he says, the way our minds process language causes anything stated in a cause and effect pattern to be believed at a very deep level. As you carefully study the wording of this message, he says, you will easily understand what I'm talking about. He said, look at the use of the words because, causes, as, and, he said all in quotes. When you know what to look for, you will see what I mean. Then he says, does it really work? You be the judge. How do you feel about the information you just read? Do you believe it? He said, ask yourself why. I have provided almost no logical proof to you. I have simply presented the information using a powerful language pattern. Because of the way it is stated, you naturally believe what I am saying. Try this for yourself for a few days. And he says, as an experiment, try to use cause and effect in the statements you make to other people and to yourself as well. He said, experience for yourself how this powerful use of language can expand your horizons. And then he said, I want you to begin understanding the difference between sympathy and empathy as well, which means he's been paying attention to what I've been doing. So I have separately, empathy and sympathy are two terms that are often used interchangeably, but only one of them allows people to connect deeper than surface level. So what is the difference between empathy and sympathy? And which should you practice? Let's explore how empathy and sympathy differ and why one of them is a better tool to help you connect with others at work and in your life. Understanding the differences between empathy and sympathy can help you choose the most appropriate one given your circumstances. He says, while empathy supports a deeper connection, there are times when a sympathetic response is more fitting. To clarify, here is an overview, key characteristics, and some examples of each. What is empathy? Feeling what someone else feels, actively listening to what they have to say, not judging, being aware of nuisances and nonverbal cues, discovering their perspective, acknowledging everyone's feelings. Empathy is the ability to understand and share a person's feelings. If you're an empathic person, you can listen to what someone else has to say without judgment. This ability to connect is not limited by your own experiences. An empathetic person can feel someone else's emotions regardless of their personal experiences. You're able to discover their perspective with awareness of nonverbal cues. You're also able to discover their perspective with awareness of nonverbal cues. You're also able to simply listen without feeling forced to provide unwanted advice. Plus, you can acknowledge everyone's feelings in a given situation. This is particularly helpful in leadership positions. Looking at the bigger picture can help make more informed decisions. Practicing empathy instead of sympathy only can help you get the emotional clarity you need to build upon, important relationships. It can let you see another point of view. Having empathy can also help you to improve your communication skills. That's because you're able to listen fully to others and understand their perspective. In fact, researchers show that empathy can even help sustain cooperation during social dilemmas. Other studies have found that in a service setting, empathy can reduce discrimination and unethical behavior. This is important to foster a happier, healthier workplace and build a sense of belonging. What is sympathy? Having thoughts about what someone feels when in conversation, giving unasked advice, passing judgment, only noticing the surface level issue, understanding only from your perspective, ignoring or suppressing your own emotions. Unlike empathy, practicing sympathy doesn't mean you feel what someone else feels. Instead, you feel pity or sorry for someone else's feelings. You feel bad for someone, but you don't understand how they feel. A sympathetic approach only provides a surface level understanding of someone else's situation. So this understanding is typically from your perspective, not theirs. Sympathy can also lead someone to give unsolicited advice to help the other person deal with their emotions. When offering this advice, it's common for sympathetic people to pass judgment. Unlike empathy, it's still possible to pass judgment with sympathy. Both empathy and sympathy share the suffix pathy. This suffix comes from the Greek word pathos. Pathos can mean several things. It can mean emotion or it can mean feelings. But it can also mean suffering. This means that both empathy and sympathy deal with emotions. However, there's one big difference between them. First, imagine someone, let's say in your place of work, was just reprimanded. As a result, some people might even say, at least you still have your job. On the other hand, you wouldn't say this if you were an empath. With empathy, you feel the sadness, nervousness, and disappointment that the other person feels. You care about their well-being. You can let them know they're not alone. You don't need to find a solution to their problem. Instead, you can say something like, "I'm really sorry. I'm so glad you told me. I'm here for you." Or you resist the urge to try to make it go away. Empathy is about connecting with the other person instead of trying to find an appropriate response. So here's another example. If someone at work tells you that they're having marriage problems, sympathy would look like this. "Oh, that's, sucks. Have you tried, marriage counseling?" On the other hand, practicing empathy means fully listening to the other person. If this is someone you're comfortable with, you can ask them if they want to talk about it with you. There's no need to try to fix the issue for them. Instead, offer a moment of connection. So which is better? Sympathy doesn't help you build deep connections with other people. This is because sympathy only offers surface level understanding. It doesn't allow you to see from someone else's perspective. On the other hand, empathy lets you walk in someone else's shoes. As a result, you can better provide what they really need. In the workplace, empathy can help you connect with your peers and get on the same level as them. Doing so can help you connect with your peers and You can help even build high performance. A team practicing empathy, especially at work, is no easy feat. I think they said there's like 70% of CEOs that struggle to demonstrate empathy at work consistently. 68% of them also believe they will be less respected if they show empathy in the workplace. I think that's silly. But however, only 25% of employees say that empathy in their organizations is sufficient. Empathy is becoming a growing priority for employees as more join the workforce. 90% of employees say that they are more likely to stay at their jobs of employment if their employers were more empathic. If you have a leadership position in your organization, practicing empathy and making it a priority is key to building a more resilient workforce. Here are 4 ways you can do so. So listen actively instead of focusing on what to say next. Even when listening to someone else, people are often focused on their own thoughts. It's easy to think about what to say next instead of focusing on what the other person is saying. That gets in the way of fully and actively listening to the other person. It also makes it difficult to understand the emotions of another person. Failure to listen will make it difficult to empathize. Instead of focusing on your response, pay close attention to what someone else is telling you. Listen attentively, not just for their words, but for other nonverbal cues too. Watch their body language and tone of voice to understand how they feel. You could easily miss the signals when you're focused on your own response. When the other person is finished speaking, take a moment to process the information. Only once you've processed all nuisances of the conversation should you focus on what you want to say. If you have a position of leadership, encourage your team to practice active listening. Number 2, repeat in your own words. You can phrase this as something that you've heard. Here's an example. What I'm hearing is that you don't feel valued in the team. When Jeremy and Sophia speak over you, is this right? When you present something as what you have heard, it places the burden on you, not on the other person. If you heard or understand something wrong, they can correct you. Number 3, prioritize emotional intelligence. It is an important soft skill to practice in your workplace if you want to improve empathy. People who have high emotional intelligence tend to be more self-aware, able to manage themselves, aware of social cues, more capable, of managing relationships. In the workplace, it's crucial to prioritize emotional intelligence in your team. It facilitates, strong communicators, collaborators, and leaders. Number 4, understand what the other person needs. Everyone is wired differently. We all have different needs. It's easy to imagine what you'd need isn't necessarily the same as what they need. Resist the urge to automatically leap to conclusion about what someone needs when they tell you what they are going through. Instead, use your listening skills to figure out what they need. If you're not sure, ask. It's better to ask someone what they need than to assume and provide the wrong kind of support. What can seem like empathy but isn't, some scenarios can feel like empathy but aren't really. Here are some examples to look for. So number 1, someone in grief. Supporting someone who is grieving is a great example of what could be empathy, but it isn't always. When you go see someone in grief and tell them how sorry you are, it can feel like you're empathetic to their situation. After all, you know it must be terrible to live a loss like that. Maybe you even take the time to bring them flowers or a card. However, this is an example of sympathy. That's why most cards are designed for people in grief, saying our sympathies on them. They are also called sympathy cards for a reason. Showing empathy requires a lot more than offering your condolences. It takes effort to imagine yourself in the grieving person's shoes. It also takes effort to be there for them and offer them the support that they need. Number 2, a coworker struggling to keep up. A coworker comes to you to complain about struggling to focus and catch up with all their tasks. As a result, you bombard them with your best time-saving techniques to help them get everything done. You feel this is empathetic because you are taking time out of your day to help them through something. But the next day, you find that this coworker comes to you to complain again. Why is that? Didn't you already help them? This can happen because the first scenario didn't show true empathy. While you did help them, you didn't take the time to connect with how they felt. When you take the time to do so, you realize that more is going on than you previously thought. They are having issues at home, which are getting in the way of their focus. By listening fully to what they have to say, you help them feel heard and supported. As a result, this coworker is now better able to focus afterwards. Number 3, a friend who needs support, emotional support. A friend starts to complain about being tired because they struggle to fall asleep at night. You quickly interrupt them to say, "Oh, I've been through that before. I know that's really hard. What helped me was to take melatonin every night. It works like magic." Although it feels like you are empathizing with them, this isn't really the case. Instead of focusing on the other person, you redirect the conversation to be about you. Empathy instead requires you to put your own feelings aside and focus on the other person. Only by listening will you find out what the other person is looking for. Compassion versus empathy are often used interchangeably, though there is a common thread between them. The two concepts are distinctly different. Both compassion and empathy are fueled by an understanding of another's human's emotions. They become with a desire and ability to connect with someone else and feel their pain. Compassion goes a step further as an individual recognizes the pain in another and is motivated to help them. That said, compassion does not require a degree of separation. To effectively help someone else, you should be able to manage those empathetic feelings so that they don't overwhelm you. With these feelings managed, a person has the capacity to find an appropriate response and see it through. So know the difference. Sympathy, is an expected sentiment, but empathy goes beyond what people expect. It helps people connect, both at work and at home in your life. If you want to learn how to practice empathy, you can also consider some personal coaching, right? All right, guys, hope this helped. Have a great day. Bye.